HPIE 3.0. So for the panel discussion round, I would like to invite the moderator, Mr. Gaurav Agarwal, GMAAF Chairman, Conference Chairman, Director of IITPL Innovation Imaging Technologies Private Limited, to please grace up the stage here. Please have a seat, sir. So now I would like to call our esteemed panelists to please come up on the stage. So our first esteemed panelist is Mr. Rajiv Nath, the Forum Coordinator Association of Indian Medical Device Service, Managing Director of Hindustan Syringe and Medical Devices Limited. Please give him a huge round of applause. So next esteemed panelist, I would like to call on stage Mr. K. Guruswamy, Chief Operating Officer of BPL Medical Technologies Private Limited, Bangalore. Please give a huge round of applause for him. Next, I would like to call upon stage Dr. Rajiv Chhibber, Vice President of SMT. Please give him a huge round of applause. So now next, whom I'm gonna invite here is a very special day for him. I would like to call Dr. Sudhir Srivastava, the founder and CEO of SS Innovation. And it's a very special day for him. Come on, everyone. Can you guys guess here? It's his birthday here, so we really wish you a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, sir. And next, I would like to call Mr. Naveen Sharma, sir, the COO of Dharmshila Narayan Hospital. Please grace the stage with your presence. So next, I would like to call upon stage Mr. Manish Sardana, President of Medicure. Please come up on the stage and give all of them a huge round of applause. So you can definitely start your session here. Thank you so very much for sharing the platform.
So very good morning to all the esteemed speakers, and one of the speakers has his happy birthday. Very, very happy birthday to you, Dr. Sudhir. Thank you. It's a very decorated panel. Thank you so much for taking the time out. A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries on and off the dais. And today's topic is 5 key technology trends that are going to shape the future of healthcare delivery in the country. Very interesting topic. And there's a very beautiful quote on future that says, "The choices we make today will create the future that we dream of." It's very similar with technology. Now, just this morning, I was reading a news item, and it showed up something very interesting. The Q2 reports or earnings have just come in, and of the 83 listed entities in the Indian healthcare space, they've reached a market capitalization of 1.07 lakh crores, which is up by nearly 23%. What is even more remarkable is that this growth has been extremely profitable. The profit growth or the EBITDA growth has surpassed the top line growth, and the EBITDA has jumped by about 35% to be in the mid-20s range. So very good news for the Indian healthcare sector after a muted 2022. Now, very quickly diving straight into the topic. So the first tech trend that we are going to be talking about is generative AI. All of us have seen how ChatGPT and similar generative AI tools are changing the face of many, many industries. It's very similar in the healthcare delivery industry also. The AI-powered tools industry is likely to be $35 billion by next year. To put it in contrast, the size of the entire hospital industry in India is about 100 billion. So a 1/3 of that is going to be only AI-driven tools. Now, a question around that. The first question, this is a question to Dr. Rajiv. We're talking all the time about how AI and ML are going to replace physicians and healthcare providers and givers. But there is a looming human resource crisis. How do you think will the industry cope up with that? How do you think will the human resource crisis match up with the pace of adoption of AI and ML? Any lights on that?
No, I, in fact, just had a similar question that I asked to Uma ma'am, and
right.
We do have certain answers. But if you look at it, what is important in a transitioning world, especially in the health tech or med tech area, is the amount of data which is generated. And that data basically is your disease demographic profile. deciphering that data and minutely deciphering. So, like ma'am said, there are like at least 3 levels to 4 levels, including certain tools that IT companies or solution companies have actually given to hospitals, do come up with certain data. But how that data is analyzed, where is the action points that needs to be looked into? For instance, everyone talks about Ayushman Bharat. I'm sure Ayushman Bharat is also maintaining that kind of a data, but unfortunately what happens is the trigger happens when there is a pandemic happening. COVID chhod dijiye, but over and above that, every year there's dengue, there's something or the other which happens on a regular basis. Why don't we have a demographic profiling of certain things is because the manpower who is actually supposed to look at it is just an IT graduate. He's not someone who's actually looked into how this data that he's collating in an Excel sheet or whatever format he is doing is going to actually make an impact in the policy making, in the healthcare delivery, in the patient safety, and ultimately, the whole healthcare conundrum that we're talking about. And that is where we need to look at hospitals also engaging their manpower into bridge courses. Not necessarily that you do a 2-year master's degree, you do a postdoc or something like that. We should be able to have certain institutions, and that too, government-funded institutions. It's more great if we have them. NIPERs have actually started doing these medtech courses, but none of the NIPERs have actually looked at, the tech part of that medtech course that we're looking at.
True.
Everyone is talking about innovation, solutions, the new age technologies that can come, but where is that technology really going to make that data? We've got so much of security breaches. Why is that breach happened? AIMS as an institution, 7 days completely shut off, completely hacked.
True.
Data compromised, patients, even details compromised in that sense.
Even the COVID data was compromised.
Exactly.
Where
Exactly. So this is where I think an informed manpower, a manpower that can actually understand how safety, security, patient security is all that important, and out of the data deciphering the exact right, solutions is going to be there.
So, Dr. Rajiv, I think data safety by itself is a topic for maybe a panel or a 2-day deliberation. But I see your point. What you're saying is that data can be an enabler, or digital health can be an enabler in the front end and the back end, but the front end needs to be skilled and upskilled.
Skilled enough, yeah. Upskilling is very, very important.
So thank you. That was a very valid point. Now, question to you, Manish. How do you see you're heading a very large, probably the largest and most celebrated publicly listed company in the medical device space. How do you see AI and, sorry, we are talking about technology and our mic is not working. See the dichotomy. How do you see AI and machine learning influencing what you do? And how do you see it finding a way into manufacturing and creating a product pipeline for you in the future? Do you see it bringing greater efficiencies of scale, or how do you view AI and ML in medical device manufacturing, specific to your company?
Right. Thank you very much. And thanks for your kind words. That more challenging for me now to maybe grow bigger.
I heard your Christmas plans being squashed, being a public.
Okay. I think machine learning has been on the medtech or any manufacturing, not from today, but from the pretty past. We are talking about robotics. Now, robots have been around in the manufacturing side, not from today, but for many years. Of course, in medtech, they came in a few years back when we started in-housing our molds.
Yeah.
So molds is nothing but you need robots for that. And robots for me is nothing but machine which has learnt. And of course, the learning also needs an predictive models for them to go develop the artificial intelligence, and that's how the machine works on that. What we see now that with AI coming in, it's becoming easier to ideate, it's becoming much easier to design, and of course, it is generative AI is helping a lot in your sales and marketing, in your supply chain. So end to end, say this is helping AI. Uh, Does it bring efficiency? Of course, yes. Right? It's like doctor being around, but then it is said a robot makes probably makes a bad surgeon a good surgeon. So similarly is on the medtech side. If you're not able to generate so many ideas, if you're not able to design, so probably can you use artificial intelligence or AI, which can think or design sitting beside you, not for you. I don't think if you allow a machine to think for you, then something else will come out. You would definitely need a human element in that. And it can assist you. It can work as an assistance for you. When it comes to the challenge, of course, the challenge on AI in medtech yet is that it is still being used on, not a challenge I would say, it is still limited to the diagnostic side yet. We are still to develop AI which will help on the treatment side. I would not talk about robots because robots is more of a machine learning. AI, will it work on the treatment side? I doubt, because AI is again based on predictability models, algorithms, and you can't have treatment based on algorithms. Treatment would need to be case-to-case basis. But yes, it has helps in diagnosis, and that's how it will probably help in treating the patients or curing the patients faster and better. On the provider side, though it is not my forte, but I think I can also try and comment on that AI is helping again in the complete care pathway. Right? Even from the before the patient, or I wouldn't call them a patient, at least a prospective patient walks into a hospital, AI can start working with them in their fixing up their appointments and almost many things it can do till even post the patient leaves the hospital. And within the hospital also it works on diagnostics, it works in treatment planning, and it works in many other things which will bring efficiencies. So that's why AI would help. Will it take over our roles? I think it's already doing that. So there is no point of contesting that, nahi ye aisa nahi hoga, ye take over nahi karenge, hum hi usko design kar rahe hain. No, they are taking away our jobs. But today, I'm already looking at my executive assistant, whether I need her or not. Right? Because you have something which is helping you probably more efficient than that. And I'm sure everybody of us is doing that.
I think you bring a very valid point,
very
Manish. What I really like is the fact that you've differentiated AI and ML. They're two very different topics. They're two very different technologies, but are very often clubbed together. I really like something that Dr. Shuchin Bajaj said yesterday, and this was another discussion, and he said, I don't think technology will take away what doctors do. What doctors do with technology will take away what doctors without technology do today. So I think that was a very balanced perspective. Now, with increasing adoption of AI in clinical decision making, what challenges and ethical considerations do you think we should be looking at, Guru?
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav.
Yeah.
So before we touch upon the challenges, of course there are quite a few. Just to add to the points already spoken here, to bring in a perspective of the kind of impact that something like AI can bring in, right? See, we see traditionally the medical devices, I come from the device background, medical devices, our focus has always been to create devices that has good functionalities and that are reliable to work, right? Now you want to give a good product with good features and reliable. I think the current concept, if you look at, is how do we provide intelligent, connected, and reliable devices. We are moving away from just being functionalities and reliability, intelligent, connected, reliable. So this is probably where technologies like AI and digital come into play. Now, when you want to make the devices intelligent, whether locally in the device or externally, AI obviously plays a big role. Another dimension to this is, we heard the earlier speaker, Dr. Uma, talking about how hospitals are becoming smart, digitalization. I strongly believe digitalization and AI has got a very strong connect. They go together, right? One probably cannot be highly productive without the other.
True.
And they have to go completely together. So I mean, AI is becoming more and more powerful day by day as we start talking more and more about the digitalization coming in. Very clearly, as the data proves, like you said, the market size. I think we see some data points which say that AI in the healthcare industry has been growing something like 45 to 48% CAGR globally, annually, globally. And I think India itself is talking about some 35, 36% kind of a growth year after year, AI applications, which is a phenomenal kind of numbers. And we also see other data point. I think there was a Morgan Stanley report which says that more than 80% of the healthcare device companies globally are going to double their spend on AI. Over the next 3 to 4 years' time. This is all phenomenal news.
Guru, but that brilliantly ties into the concern that Dr. Rajiv had, that do we have enough talented resource pool even on the AI development side? Today, anybody who can spell artificial intelligence and is from an engineering college demands a 30 lakh rupee starting salary. That's an aberration.
Yeah, that's one of the big challenges. You're absolutely right. But I think just to get on to the point, that question that you asked me, so I wanted to bring up the impact of AI, and that's probably among all the, if you're saying about 5 key technology trends, right? I mean, starting with blockchain or wearables or robotics, I think AI has got a profound impact across the care path. This is probably one technology that can have from preclinical, like he said, before even the patient walks into a hospital, till he or she walks out and the recovery phase. This is probably one technology that will have a profound impact across. So that makes it all the more important and all the more challenging. Now, what are the challenges? Obviously, plenty, as in any technology evolving. It starts from, things like, there are lots of WHO as well as, I think, ICMR guidelines which talk about the potential.
If you don't mind me interjecting, I'll give you a very pointed question. At least in the industry that I and Dr. Rajiv come from, in cardiology, the use of AI, especially in echocardiography, there are reports that suggest today that AI judged echo reports are more accurate than 100 cardiologists that generated those reports. Now, do you see that as a challenge or do you see that as an opportunity?
I would say it's a combination of both. Yeah. It is a great opportunity because, it gives an opportunity to the clinician probably to look at only the specific cases that he or she wants to look at. Like, for example, if you take an ECG or an echocardiogram or a chest X-ray, the global data says more than 70% of such data that you look at are normal. Yes. Probably only 20% of them need more attention. True. So something like AI, if it takes care of that 70% load away from the clinician then can focus on the 20% work more effectively. That is the good part of it. Having said that, the other part of it is the output of this 70%, application of AI on this 70% completely depends on the training and the data that has gone in. So it's garbage in, garbage out. I mean, what you use to train that model is what effectively is going to come out. That is probably where we in India have got a lot of challenges because, I mean, not to comment, be sarcastic, but our data has always been a suspect. I mean, I'll take one example and leave it at that. Like, if you walk in a tier 2, tier 3 city, if somebody walks into a casualty, an accident happens, the patient walks into a hospital and he or she wants a treatment, right? And you are supposed to enter several data points before you go through the treatment. One question probably normally would be, have you consumed alcohol, right? Now, this data, anybody can enter anyway. Like, somebody, if you want an insurance benefit, you will enter in a different way, or the other way. So, right? So the data that you enter probably is going to have a very profound impact on something else later. So it starts at that point, the purity of data, the cleanliness of data, that will decide how the 70% of the cases, are handled by an AI model. So that's one big challenge that we have. The bias that the data has, the input, the cleanliness of the input data that we provide, and of course the fear of the clinicians that we spoke about, that will it replace? Clearly it will not replace. These are all some of the big challenges that we have. I'll end this with one data point, which I saw very interestingly. I think, there are, whatever the number of articles that are published on medical devices, AI on medical devices, apparently only 30 or 35% of those articles are peer reviewed properly, yes. Right? The rest of the articles are not peer reviewed. So that's the opportunity that you have, and that's also the challenge that you have.
So I think that's a very balanced perspective. I think you see AI as an enabler to reduce 70% of the workload, where likely the outcomes are normal. So thank you. That was a very balanced perspective. Now, Rajiv ji, as somebody who's had a ringside view to the development of the medical device industry from its nascency to today in a very rapid growth stage. Do you think our regulatory pathways are clearly defined to allow introduction of these technologies in medical devices? What is your view?
Not at all. In fact, I would say little knowledge is dangerous, and what we are seeing right now is utter confusion. Why I say utter confusion? Because I've got institutes like the IITs reaching out to me for organizing webinars and interactions with their teams over there. And they want me to bring in the regulators, because even if we impart our knowledge, it's being meaningless knowledge, because the real world is being different. So in terms of the real world, in practical approach, when an innovator has to start, he is not even clear that can he start making a product. Does he need a test license? Can he make the product and discuss that product with a clinician without a test license? Does he need an ISO 13485 before that?
Correct.
Or he needs it after that? Is a product required to be made even for clinical trials under a site which has got a proper manufacturing license or not? Now, it's such a crazy situation right now. And I tell you, this craziness is not only limited to India now.
True.
We are seeing this craziness even coming to Europe now, because earlier pathways which were defined in Europe for MDD, which were allowing quick access to innovative medical devices in Europe and beating access in USA faster for market access in Europe, is now other way around. Now it's much more difficult to enter Europe with an innovative new medical device and technology than to enter USA, or for that matter, other countries like even Singapore
So
or Health
Rajiv,
Canada.
just holding that thought, I mean, it's a brilliant topic that we've touched upon. Now, casting away software as a medical device or software in a medical device, SAMD or SIMD, do you think that will change or make the regulatory pathways clearer for adoption and introduction of newer technologies in AI?
No, not really. Software as a medical device and technology has always been there for quite some time.
Yes.
So whether for the European MDD or for the Health Canada or for the US FDA or for MDSAP, for these kind of things, people were already aware and had clarity. It is now the pivotal change. So in Europe, you need to now do a clinical evaluation first, a technical file review first, and the factory audit will be done after that. Earlier, it was the factory audit first and technical file review alongside. So this pivotal kind of changes is what's creating the confusion, even internationally, not only in India. So what is the starting point and what are the pathways is being real learning for even all of us who have been there in this space for quite some time.
True. No, very valid point. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think adding to what Rajiv just said, FDA in the last couple of years has created a separate center of excellence for SIMD, right? And they also have, like this GMP, I think they also have the good machine language practices, right? And they also have a separate stream that runs. And I also remember to have seen another data where I think there are 700 plus, if I remember, 700 plus medical devices that have been approved for AI. And 85% of it has gone through the 510K route, which means the regulators are obviously getting very serious about it, because 510K route is probably the easiest route that you can go through, right? I mean, other than the PMA and other routes. So 85% of the AI application devices have gone through a 510K route. It's a good news.
Correct.
No, significant. And also the other part of the news is, I think over 200 plus devices have got recalls in FDA, in AI application. So there is, it's like this is a clear evaluation phase. We see both happening, but regulators are looking at it, and I think regulators are creating space clearly for something like this.
So what you're saying is right. I mean, we do have a defined standard IEC 62304 for software to be classified for use in a medical device. But I think to Rajiv ji's point, are regulators trained enough to do those audits? Is questionable. Now, Rajiv ji, another question related to this. you know, this is often called the golden decade for medical devices in India, which is critical for the growth of the hospital and healthcare industry in general. What is your view on devices and consumables and the regulatory pathway, and how it will empower us to get to the $50 billion dream by 2030?
Well, I would say definitely the market is growing, is exploding. Now, how much of that growing cake and the slice of the cake will come to manufacturing in India is another question. And who of the people who will be competent enough and competitive enough to grab that slice for themselves are going to be the people who are going to be enterprising and challenging enough to work in an environment which may or may not be very conducive for them. So on one side, we've got opportunities coming up, the Make in India initiatives, Atmanirbhar Bharat, the medical device policy, a lot of good initiatives to support Make in India in the country. At the same time, you do have trip-ups. And the tripping that is occurring, like in this year, there have been two big trippings. One has been allowing the import of refurbished, pre-owned equipment.
Yes.
So on one side, you invite investments, and you see an opportunity. On the other side, you find out there's a new competition coming up, which undermines your investments. And same thing over here in terms of regulations. So in COVID times, you saw, we were talking about teamwork. And Dr. Uma also mentioned the collaborative role during COVID times, whether information or digital, whatever. But the kind of manufacturing that happened in the first 3 months between April 2020 and June 2020 was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
People who were not in the medical device space, they came forward and everybody was collaborative. People were opening their technologies, allowing competition to share technologies, Medtronics asking other people to make ventilators on an open platform basis. So this was a kind of humanity-driven collaborative role over there.
True.
And regulatory pathways were not being impediments. Tomorrow we have this pandemic coming across, 2025. Same repeat. We'll be in a very worrisome position.
Absolutely. So yesterday, in the theme address, this is exactly a point I touched upon. That
We'll be shackled. There'll
Yeah.
be no way we'll be able to do it in 3 months'
And
time.
today we live in times where the threat is unknown. You know, WHO estimates that there are under 2 million zoonotic viruses which can easily find its way from an animal to a human host, and they can be 30 times more virulent. Now, how do you fight a challenge that you can't see? You know, so holding that thought, Manish, coming back to you, the use of wearables as a means for prevention of disease and early stage diagnosis is gaining a lot of traction. What are your views on that? Are you a personal fan of wearable technology in some shape or form? And how do you see that gaining more prominence from the two segments of healthcare continuum to a patient's entire wellness journey?
So I can't say I'm a fan of wearables because I'm wearing a vintage watch. So
I'm sorry, I flipped that question too.
But anything which will help in, if you see everything is moving, I think I also saw the Uma's slide earlier which talks about hospitals moving from treatment to wellness. So anything which is linked to wellness will definitely is welcomed, and so is wearable. Now, everybody wants to predict things much earlier than it hits you. So that's where wearable comes in. Now, I don't see a reason why wearable should not be promoted. Again, the challenge is the regulatory, how do you control that you are wearing the more predictable and accurate wearable? So if I have my phone in my pocket and I'm just roaming around in the evening, it's, oh wow, it's already 10,000 steps. And I say, okay, did I do that? But when you look, how accurate is a wearable? Because that can tweak what is going to be the diagnosis and how are you going to be treated on that. Now, Apple Watch, while I was wearing an Apple Watch, every other day I would put a finger on that and check my ECG. Now, is that the right thing to do?
Exactly.
So that's where you will have to figure out what is the need of a wearable. Why would you want to wear a wearable? Does it look good on the hand? Yes, it does. Right? Are you using it the right way? Probably I wouldn't want to use it to check my ECG because I have no idea what is that. But yes, can I help it? Help me in my wellness? Definitely.
But just a point on that, relative of mine wore an Apple Watch and it gave an ECG alert, it saw a certain change that was abnormal, and he was rushed to the hospital, and they were able to resuscitate him. He is about 76 years old in a place called Ongole.
Right.
So I've seen the wearable technology preventing a catastrophic health event.
Exactly. That's why it helps in diagnosis, right? If you would still need to reach somewhere to get treated, right? But then is wearable helping you? Definitely, yes. Will it be the technology for the future? Yes. Now I can talk about another thing which I have seen, and probably we will work on that also. People are talking about IV cannula with a sensor. It's called a smart IV cannula. Right? So as soon as you are utilizing, and it's a basic drug delivery device. Right? Why would you want to put a sensor on that?
Yeah.
Now the sensor is talking about, it has all your data on your drug interactions. It has a data whether the speed, etc., etc. And that sensor is linked to the nursing console. So sitting there, they can see what the patient is being given and what speed it is going, it is blocked, etc., etc. So
But I think what you're saying is very valid, but devices that were intended for use have expanded their applications. A phone used to be a tool to communicate. Today, it's a camera and music phone.
exactly.
Right?
You don't see a phone being sold for the voice quality or anything.
No, nobody. So, Dr. Saab, coming to you, many happy returns of the day once again. And robotics is one of the key trends that will shape the future of healthcare delivery. It was estimated that the market size is in excess of $5 billion and is likely to get to $25 billion by end of 2030. And as one of the early innovators and one of the only companies out of Asia to be so successful in commercial deployment of the robot, how do you see robots changing the day-to-day healthcare delivery, specifically in this surgical area?
So first of all, thank you for the wishes, and thanks to everyone here. Definitely, the robotics in surgery will change. If you look at the history, it started from open incisions, large incisions, to going on to laparoscopy, and then finally robotic. So there are many technology attributes in robotics that actually allow surgeons to do very complex operations that otherwise are not possible. So essentially, the goal of robotics is really, it's like patient-centric. Not only surgeons' abilities get better with the technology attributes in terms of high definition, magnified up to 10 times view, scaling of the motion that creates safety, and also filtration of tremors, which will extend surgical lives for the surgeons, when they get older, and also to be able to do things very precisely, as it is said, better than human hands, of 0.1 millimeter accuracy. So for surgeons, they are wonderful in order to be able to achieve that perfection that sometimes, you're dependent a lot on the human skill level. Or it's just like somebody said, can you make a bad surgeon better with robot? The answer is no.
Thankfully we don't have surgeons.
So your surgeon must be good in order to, because he still has to operate. Machine is not. So now, coming to the patient side of it, patients come to us to get better, to go back to their previous lifestyle. And now we have been putting them through traumatic incisions, long recoveries, longer hospital, and it literally impacts the entire system, not only just the whole socio-economic fabric, but also the entire cost to the healthcare system.
Right.
So now, if we can operate on these patients, give the same option in terms of treating them very complex operations that otherwise are not possible today. Although laparoscopy is wonderful, I think in skilled hands, a lot can be done. But even there are, take cardiac surgery as an example. 95, 98% people globally are still having their sternums cut open, which was taught 50 years ago. And it's like Tom Fogarty, one of the pioneers in vascular surgery, who invented Fogarty catheter. He made a comment, if you have done the same thing for 30 years, you probably are wrong. Now here in cardiac surgery particularly, we are doing what we learned 50 years ago. It's still splitting. And morbidity is patient's problem. So now these patients are in the hospital longer, more complications, more blood loss. And if something happens, infection occurs, they're literally messed up. So robotic surgery allows you to do a lot of these things through tiny holes with less trauma, less pain. They get back to the fast recovery. In my practice, when I was in US, 20% patients went home next day after bypass surgery, unheard.
Wow.
50% 2 days or less, back to their functional status in a week to 10 days. So absolutely, it will help not only immediately as far as the patient factors are concerned, it's great for the hospital, increases the throughput. Same bed can be used for more patients. And ultimately, it translates into really saving money for the entire healthcare system. Readmissions are reduced. Families don't have to rearrange. Children don't have to take vacation to be with their parents. Employer gets the employee back. And bread earner goes back to work. So there are all of these benefits, beyond the immediate hospitalization and direct trauma related to maximally invasive surgery. So it will absolutely change it. Yes.
So holding that thought, Dr. Sudhir, two very, very important points and considerations perhaps for the audience. One is are robots expanding the realm of what was impossible in the past today? Are more inoperable conditions being made possible because of robots, one? And second, what expanded indications do you see? Because there has been some caution in the air. There was a vascular robot that Siemens launched and they had to withdraw it because it had some fundamental issues. So how do you see, what would be your advice to potential robotic entrepreneurs?
So I think one message should go very clearly. Robotic surgery or robotics in medicine is not for everything and every condition. There will always be some limitations that if it gets too complex or if you have to do too many things, the whole time factor, reoperations, for instance, because you need space to get in. And also, where I see, I think where it will expand, a lot of these things will become literally whereby I think we need to look beyond in the sense of just the hospital. So where the robotics will really assist would be telehealth, okay? Now, right now, we know that you take India as an example, almost over 60% of our people are in rural areas or smaller communities.
Right.
All of them have to travel. Now, we are developing certain things whereby single arm, smaller single arms, you can mount an ultrasound. You can mount biopsy forceps. You can do targeted therapies wherever required. So suddenly this will change. One of the biggest issues is always late diagnosis, culturally speaking, or not having access. So it translates into better, bad outcomes and poor outcomes. So I think if we can literally bring the care using the robotic assistant, which then can be remotely controlled. I can sit in Delhi and control a robotic arm. We have done the experiment whereby 30 kilometers away we do the ultrasound. And also where the whole AI and machine learning will really become very crucial. So let's say if you're going to do a breast ultrasound to detect, because breast cancer is one of the biggest challenges and late diagnosis because of the reasons. Culturally, or patients just don't do the self-examination or don't have access. So if you, let's say, hold a camp, whereby suddenly you have this breast ultrasound, the use of the AI, it will diagnose that. There is a higher rate of diagnosis in breast cancer than the human eyes today. And immediately one can do a biopsy with the robotic arm and diagnose that again on the slide through AI. So what it will do is, at the earlier point, that 70% it will take away from, so it will make it more efficient.
True.
Or an ultrasound examination, one technician can run 5 patients at one time instead of sequentially doing. So a lot of these things actually will help in terms of the robotics. And I think this is where I see the expansion, whereby what the term I use is decentralizing excellence.
Yes.
Literally, and it will have a global impact on, and this is a universal problem, just not India.
True.
Everywhere you have this problem of, centralized care.
So Dr. Sudhir, you bring two very important points, that it improves efficiency and improves diagnosis, which in turn saves lives. So thank you very much. We're actually running out of time. So just one last question, while not related to the key tech trends, but I think we are fortunate to have a panel of some of the best medical device companies in the country that have recognized that made in India for the world is the way to scale up. Sejanand exports to several countries in the world. Medicure does the same. HMD does the same, and so does BPL. So my question to Dr. Rajiv, you and Rajivji, you and Manish, maybe you, if you could just give us a one-liner on what health techpreneurs in India need to learn, or what leaf can they take out of your book to go global? Because 97% of medtech market, $500 billion market, is outside India. Maybe just 2 sound bites, and then we could wrap up the session.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we need to invest in our own manufacturing technology. A lot of that digital technology is also coming into manufacturing. So remote maintenance is also what we are doing currently for the last few years on our machines. Engineers sitting in Germany, Japan, Sweden, they keep upkeeping our machines in India.
Wonderful.
And I would say that investment technology is also what's going to be allowing us to have more consistent, more world-class quality that's going to be appreciated by our clients internationally. So the key thing is, of course, investment in technology. The second key part, of course, is investment in marketing. So building brand India, having the confidence to build brand India is the way forward long term. People normally enter global markets going as OEM to distributors' brand names and large buyers' brand names to enter the markets. It's okay to get the experience, get the exploration, but the long term forward is slow and steady, build your own Indian brand names internationally.
Wonderfully said, sir. You've been the flag bearer of the Make in India brand for medical device industry, and kudos and congratulations. Dr. Rajiv, what has SMT done so well? I think it has such a large global footprint in a very, very critical area of medical device. So what is your advice?
I think what companies and growing companies need to actually do is keep themselves acquainted with the latest advancements that are happening. And those advancements need to really churn in their products also. So if you are not innovative, clinically validated, and assured of that quality, that is the tech quality that is going to make an impact into human, patient care basically, I don't think the acceptability towards any brand. I mean, you talk about any brand, will fail, whether it's the global best or
I think
the
you
domestic
nailed
best.
it. You said very adequately, innovation and
Clinically validated
solutions. As a competitor and as a industry peer, I can vouch for that SMT has done both of them brilliantly. Now over to you, Manish, as one of the celebrated publicly listed companies and with a large global footprint.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to Indian medtechpreneurs?
I don't say advice, but probably a learning. We learned it the hard way. So at least I can be the wise man and share it. We are still neonatal. We are just 25 years old. I wouldn't say I'm a wise man. 25 years in an organization is very neonatal. Now, while we operate in 120 countries, and the last recently one was
I think a
Americas.
huge round of applause for the gentleman on the panel that export to over 80 countries in the world.
Yes.
So,
and while we have just opened up in Americas, so that's something which we are looking at as our forte, the toughest one. Now, the learning is very clear, and most of us have talked the same thing, back to basics. The first is branding. You need to focus on your branding. You cannot be seen just as a manufacturer. It doesn't help. Second is effective product. An effective product covers everything, quality, innovation, everything. So third is effective people, effective talent, the rightfully trained right people. Last but not the least, effective processes. You cannot be cutting corners on your hygiene and compliance and then expect the Western world to accept you. It wouldn't
brilliantly
happen.
touched upon the 3 Ps, product, people, and innovation and
Can
processes.
I add one
If I can
thing
just
about
add one-
your global side? I think, there are almost 120 countries. They don't need United States FDA or CE. So I think our Indian CDSCO, the government should make efforts that they become equally acceptable everywhere, whereby you don't have to go through some of the long processes. And this will open up doors further.
Brilliant
Yeah,
point.
absolutely.
Brilliant point. So
One just last point add to that is I
Guru.
believe I think the basic thing we need is a change in mindset as Indian medical device companies to start developing products for the global market. Everything is encompassed in that. today when we develop a product, we develop it with the mindset of let's launch a product, let's focus on the government market, private markets, and whatever it comes from here. But I think it changes from the requirement. When you start designing a product, the fundamental requirement that you gather, that from that point in time onwards, we should have a global mindset. I think that's a mindset change,
Awesome.
which is very important.
Absolutely a mindset. So when the panel is so decorated and the discussions are so stimulating, it's hard to put a cap to that. But we will allow for maybe just one question and then we'll wrap up the session.
Thank you, Gaurav, for such an such an interesting discussion. I think I'll just extend that question that you said. For an entrepreneur in health medical device space, let's say this is the T0, and T0 is the starting date for somebody who's starting now. And this is a new world with new technologies. If you have to look back and say that you have to rebuild this company in this newer ecosystem of different technologies available from manufacturing to marketing to clinical outcomes, all of them, how would you have done this? Can this be done in a faster way? Let's say whatever was done in 25 years, can it be done in 10 years? What efficiencies? In the hindsight, if you started today, what would you have done differently?
Is that a question to me or the panel?
Yeah.
So I have far more decorated people on the panel, far more successful companies, and I'd let them answer this.
Manish, you gave the answer.
Honestly, it's success is a big bully, or I don't want to use that word, but if you are successful, you always believe the way you did is the right way, and there could not be any other way. So each one of us probably have our own ways. Could we have done differently? I don't think so, because the basics still remain the same.
True.
It was 25 years back, again it was those 5 Ps which Philip Kotler taught you, and I think 25 years ahead it will still remain those 5 Ps. Cash was still the king, you still need cash. And the demand. If you have demand on your control, so you cannot just be a manufacturer, and you cannot just have cash, you need demand on your side. If you can control the demand, I think cash to manage ho jayega. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. So,
Gaurav, I'll just add one thing to this, let's take, from a medtech point of view, let's take 2 things very seriously if we talk about AI should also be academia and industry learning. And ML is not necessarily what we think. It needs to be more medtech learning that we need to have.
Fantastic. I think you rightly said, Manish, somebody had very clearly told me very early on in my days that top line is vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is reality. So I think you've nailed it, absolutely. So thank you very much. Yeah, Dr. Ravi, you had a question.
So my question is...
You may lose the moderator. I have a flight to catch, but the decorated panel is very much...
So just little different question. Thank you for the wonderful discussion. So when we talk about the employment and unemployment in India, right? So we can see that the unemployment rate has been decreased actually from 2020, 10.9% to 2021, 7.71, then 2022, 7.33. So, of course, with the digitization, industrialization has coming up, they have generated more employment. But when we talk about the new upcoming deep tech, robotic comes under the deep tech technologies in the healthcare, and also the robotics in the industry. The AI in the industries, like we got AI modules for HR, AI modules for process, AI modules for manufacturing. We have heard, Manish ji, that if I need my EA or not, you have mentioned, sir. Right? So what are we looking at for the future in terms of the unemployment side? If we are coming up with the latest technology which make things easier and reduces the resources. So, to the panel.
So please be with us for a while.
So we'll have one group
sir,
photograph then.
we would like to felicitate you.
Ravi,
Please
can you
come
just
up here for
re-summarize the
felicitation.
question once again for sir?
So we'll continue with the question within a while here. So we'd like to present a token of appreciation to our moderator of the discussion here. We have Mr. Gaurav Agarwal, sir. Please give him a huge round of applause. He's a GMAAF chairman, conference chairman, and director of IITPL Innovation Imaging Technologies Private Limited. Thank you so very much for sharing the platform. So we'll continue with the question here.
Re-summarize the question.
So, sir, what I was talking about is different on the employment and unemployment perspective. So, we have seen with the technologies, it has actually, currently the unemployment rate has been decreased with the industrialization and the technologies coming up. But when we look at the future technologies like deep tech, robotics, which has made a lot of processes easy in the healthcare and even in the industry. Second, the artificial intelligence, which has come up in a very good way in the industries, like it can be used in the HR modules, processes, even in the manufacturing, 3D printing and all. So, sir, my question is, what are we looking at in the future? Because these technologies have actually reduced the resources, in the terms of ease of access and ease of usability. So, any comments on that front, sir?
I think, it's probably, I won't say it's a misunderstanding. I think every new field that opens up, it will continuously increase, more employment because you need more and more trained people. So it will open up doors today that we don't even know that we are going to need in order to really achieve that final success. On one side, we are talking of the manufacturing and we are wanting to become an export center. Just imagine, if we raise our levels through some of these, newer methodologies, it will continuously increase because the need is so huge. I mean, if you take just, some of the other, Apple has come to India, for instance. You think, obviously, they use all kinds of technologies. It will increase the employment. So I think if you look at these things as modalities that will help us and not replace us. And if you look at it in a correct way, we will not only create education, we'll create new employments for people.
Ravi, I'll respond to you in a very different way. What Manish actually said, see, the world is still going to be phygital. We will still have employment, we will still have newer technologies, and for every newer technologies, we still need to have the AI, the academic and industry learning that we need to have, and that is where manpower is going to be constant requirement. So let's not discredit the fact that this is going to take away jobs or it's going to actually have an impact on employment. The employment ratios have gone because of could be other reasons also. But innovation at any point of time has never reduced employment. It has actually improved opportunities within the industry itself. Shifting of jobs, yeah.
I think the pie increases.
Rajiv ji talked about the pie. Every pie has a sub-pie into it. And we need to actually look at it in that way only. So ultimately, this goal is for every one of us. The goal is a PPP model. And we're not the public-private partnership model that we're looking at. And as, public health specialists say, it's a partnership for a public purpose. So until we realize all of this, healthcare, health tech, med tech will not be able to really realize the quantum that you're talking about.
Thank you so very much to all the panelists over here. Indeed, technology in healthcare and medicine could potentially transform the inappropriate healthcare systems into the appropriate one. So thank you so very much for giving us your valuable time here. Now I would like to call Mr. Afzal Kamal sir and Manish Rastogi sir to please felicitate all the esteemed panelists over here. Please come up on the stage. So firstly, I would like to call Mr. Rajiv Nath. Mr. Rajiv Nath, sir, to receive this token of appreciation. He's a Forum Coordinator, Association of Indian Medical Device Industry, Managing Director of Hindustan Syringes and Medical Devices Limited. Thank you so very much. So next, I would like to call Mr. K. Guruswamy to please receive this token of appreciation. He is a Chief Operating Officer, BPL Medical Technologies Private Limited, Bangalore. Please give him a huge round of applause. Next, I would like to call here Dr. Rajiv Chhibber. Dr. Rajiv Chhibber, sir. He is a Vice President of SMT. Please give him a huge round of applause.
The world is digital. Thank you.
Dr. Sudhir Srivastava, sir, please come up here to receive this token of appreciation. He's the founder and CEO of SS Innovation. Please give a big hand for him. And thank you so very much for sharing your special day with HPIE 3rd edition. Thank you so much. Can we have Mr. Manish Sardana, sir, the president of Medicure. Please give him a huge round of applause. Come on, everyone. Thank you so very much. Okay, can we have a group photo here? Thank you so very much.